What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise postgame show powered by BetUS. Today, the Portland Trail Blazers won their third straight game. Their third straight game against a third straight tanking opponent. The Blazers took care of business after an ugly first half to beat the Wizards 129 to 121 to move to 26 and 33 on the season. This night punctuated by the play of the year for the Blazers. Maybe the dunk of the year across the NBA, Shaedon Sharpe. He had a career-high 36 points and the ultimate poster dunk in the first half. 36 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. So also distributing for his teammates in 33 minutes played off the bench for the Blazers. He led the way. Denny Avdia returned to Washington, but unfortunately he got hurt early on, only played in 6 minutes. Hopefully he's all right. He was seen later on the bench. He probably is fine, might miss a game or two. We'll see. But the Blazers, they take care of business. They are now only 7 games below 500. And, we've had the conversation on previous postgame shows about the play-in. Well, at least they're half a game closer to the next team. The Blazers now 4 games back of the 10th seeded Sacramento Kings. Eric, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Oh, good. I was so happy to have that dunk because this game was like, man, I'm questioning my fandom watching this ugly basketball game, and at least Shaedon provided something that made this game completely worthwhile watching, and then the Blazers pull out a victory at the end. So,
yeah, I mean that was insane. Like the still picture of him having the ball cocked back, he's so far away from the rim. You wouldn't think he dunked it. Yeah, that was crazy. So super fun highlight play from Sharpe, and definitely not the last one in his career, so looking forward to more plays like those. And the Blazers, they put 129 up on the board. Their defense doesn't look particularly good against the Wizards. You give up 121 against them. The Wizards, of course, are the worst team in the league, 10 and 48 now on the season. But still, you win late. I mean, this is literally like... Sharpe's performance was fun. He was great, right? The rest of the game, this was kind of like the Jazz game where you barely hang on. I guess they won by a little bit more, but it was down to the wire. You barely hang on against a terrible, terrible team that you're better than. And at the end of the day, you can say, yeah, it's a win. But also at the end of the day, this team is not playing its best basketball right now. The thing is, they're good enough where their best basketball can still beat a team like this Wizards team, and that's what happened tonight.
yeah, absolutely. At times, this seemed like I don't want to win game from both teams, and it was like, all right, who's gonna just take it and win this game? And the Blazers made a little run at the end of the third quarter, finally started hitting some shots, and then they let Washington hang around in the fourth. They cut it 3 there with a couple minutes left, but Blazers ultimately prevail, and I'd be interested to know. Maybe we should do a chat poll, like just kind of gauge this versus. We should start keeping track because I know you did this last game, kind of, but just like, are you feeling the play-in push right now? Are you kind of bummed that this was a chance to get back in the tank race these 3 games and we win all 3, or like how is chat feeling? Let us know.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's probably going to be the same results as last game, right? And I expected the Blazers to win these games, so even the next one against Brooklyn. I don't think that changes the calculus for that race. Ultimately, I don't think anybody's opinion on this team should be swayed by them barely hanging on to beat the Jazz without 4 of their 5 best players, the Wizards, who are 10 and 48, worst team in the league, and then they play the Nets next game, who just lost to the Wizards. They were the Wizards' 10th win. They finally got into double-digit wins. But Brooklyn is starting to tank pretty hard, it feels like. So the wins that would matter are the wins that would have to take place later on into March, with Cleveland, OKC, Boston, all road games on the horizon. And I feel like, it's nice. Enjoy the wins while they last. The Blazers got a tough schedule coming up. We talked about that on the last post-game show. At the end of the day, yes, this is probably a game we wish we lost at the end of the season when we're sitting there in the lottery. But, it's a win, so I don't know.
To be fair, outside of that Wizards game, the Nets actually have been really competitive lately. They put up 76 on the Thunder and had a lead at halftime tonight, and then they've only scored 31 in the
Yeah,
second half.
so
with
they
3
play
minutes
good
left.
for a half, and then they tank the second half.
Yeah.
That's exactly
But
what they did against Washington.
Yeah, but other than that game, they have won some games before that. So Day'Ron Sharp has 25 and 15.
Are Trendon Watford and Keon Johnson top 5 players on that team that are in their everyday lineup? Because you got what? Cam Johnson, Nick Claxton, and Cam Thomas, and then who else?
Well, like I said, Day'Ron Sharp is having a monster game right now. He's been playing well.
Hey, Keon and Trendon have been playing well, man, but those are two
Yeah.
key parts of their rotation. Two guys the Blazers willingly gave up on, basically got rid of for nothing. Because Keon Johnson was a throw-in in that Phoenix trade, and Trendon Watford got cut. So this should be eventually a 4-game winning streak. Schedule gets tougher. You're taking care of business against the bad teams right now, but ultimately that's not what's going to get you to the play-in. If they have dreams of a play-in, they're going to have to beat tough teams. Right now, Sacramento's on the road in Utah. They're up 50-39. So, assuming they don't choke that, the Blazers will still, after this game, be 4.5 games out of the play-in. Right? So they're not even getting ground with these victories.
Yeah, and so after the Brooklyn game, right, when our schedule toughens up.
Yeah. So you got one more.
So if you don't make up ground in this 4-game stretch, even though you won them all, and you gain 0 games on the Kings during that stretch, I don't see how we're gonna, with less games left against harder teams, make up ground. It's going to be tougher.
Yep.
We need, if you're rooting for the play-in, you need Sacramento to start losing some of these games.
Yeah, listen, if they were in the East, completely different story. They would be comfortably in the 9th seed right now. Comfortably, right? That's how bad
crazy.
the East is. The 8th seed, let me see what the 8th seed is right now, because the 8th seed... The 8th seed in the East is 27-30, so the Blazers would be 1.5 games out of the 8th seed. 2 games out of the 7th seed, right? So you could be talking about getting in a 7-8 playing game if the Blazers were in the East right now, which I guess is a good thing, right? For as much crap as Heat fans talk about the Blazers have one less win than them right now. Unfortunately, in the West is stacked. They're 10 teams deep, and one of those teams doesn't include the Phoenix Suns, who have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, right? Mm-hmm. The funny thing is the Blazers are only a game and a half behind them right now, which is wild. Absolutely wild. The Suns have lost 8 out of 10. The Blazers have won 6 out of 10. 3 in a row after this game. Yeah, so, we'll keep talking about the play-in picture until the wheels fall off. Expecting the wheels to fall off in March, but the Blazers take care of business. They win this game. Shane Sharp, let's talk about him, man, because he, of course, is the player of the game. I'm not even going to do a poll. There's no point. Yeah, there's no point. I'll just say this. The creation I really liked today, and I liked some of the pace on his drives. Like, there's multiple times he got going downhill, and instead of trying to just go too quick, like, he's really good when he can kind of start a drive, get his shoulder past a defender a lot of times on a pick and roll, but then just kind of take his time in the mid-range and maybe like a little slow in and out and almost lull defenses to sleep and then explode to the rim. There was a couple of different drives where he kind of took his time on his drives. He wasn't going 100%, but basically he was just setting himself up to explode to the rim. With his athleticism, he's a very explosive finisher, and I just think that's something that he's gotten better at. His handle's definitely gotten better too, but just some of his drives, I was really impressed with the pace that he showed on them. A lot of young players struggle with, just trying to rely upon quickness to beat defenses, to beat big men at the rim. I think Sharp is really starting to master his pace on some of his dribble drives. I think the biggest problems for his consistency being an elite scorer is consistently being able to actually get a step on a guy. We talked about that earlier in the year because when he gets a step, he's very lethal. He has the mid-range shot, threes. He made 3 of 7. That's a good three-point shooting night. That was good to see. He had a step back in this game, so that's good. You got to the line 10 times, right? And also had 5 assists with your 3 turnovers. I'll take that considering he shot 26 times. Like he had the ball in his hands a lot, so you're going to have a couple turnovers here and there. Offensively, the pace, some of the feel things you can see improving with him throughout this season even, and it was really fun to see itself manifest itself in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I did like that he got to the line 10 times. We all whenever we talk about like who's going to be the star, I think if one of the three, um, well, I'm kind of Kluklin, I guess, just between Sharp and Scoot, those two, if one of them can figure out how to get to the line, maybe not like at an SGA level or Embiid level, but in the 7 or 8 times a game range, I think that would elevate their game. So getting the line 10 times, definitely a huge part of his game tonight. But I did. He was short on so many of his shots, especially in the first half. He was pulling up in that mid range. They were all front rimming. He airballed a shot. There were a lot of air balls from our team tonight in the first half, actually. So I like that in the second half he didn't settle as much, and he ends up going 3 for 7 from three, so it didn't end up being bad shooting night or anything. But I like that he didn't settle a lot for those mid-range pull-ups like he has been, and tried to get to the rim, like you said, with those drives, because it could have been a pretty bad shooting night if he just kept shooting tough turnaround shots and they were all coming up short. So good for him to get to the line and get some buckets by going to the rim.
Yeah, it's one of those things where this team didn't really have legitimate rim protection in this game. Rashawn Holmes, Tristan Vukcevic, those guys aren't legitimate rim protectors, right? So you got to be able to attack them downhill. You got to get downhill on them. You got to get to the rim. You don't want to settle, and the Blazers didn't. Now, they did have a little easier going in the paint against this Washington defense, which is awful. It's part of the reasons why they're the worst team in the league. They got a couple good individual defenders, Koulibaly being the main one, but it's not a good defense, right? So you don't want to settle for tough shots against a bad defense. You want to get downhill. You want to get to the rim. You want to put pressure on the rim, and that's what Sharp did in this game. That's one of the things that the Blazers do really well on the season, but when they've had some offensive lulls, and especially playing without one of Denny or Scoot on the floor, they've had a tendency to start settling for jump shots, and they didn't do that in this game. He shot 7 of them. He shot 19 twos and got to the line 10 times. I think that's the diet for Sharp, where if he improves his three-point shot, yeah, shoot more threes, but, he's not shooting a good percentage from 3 on the year. He still should shoot threes, open threes, sprinkle in a step back here or there. I don't really have a problem with his three-point shot selection overall, but he just has not shot a good percentage. Where his strengths lie right now is being able to get downhill, being able to use his pace, being a threat in transition. So this was a good game and a good shot diet for him against a team that didn't have much rim protection, just consistently getting downhill on them, consistently getting to the free throw line, as well as, just a lot of those finishes I was talking about where he was just kind of like methodically weaving his way into the paint, which was cool to see.
Yeah, and it's always fun when, I don't know, if we want him to take that next step, he's got to show some sort of like mindset or desire to take over games and be that guy. And I think we saw some glimpses of that tonight. And honestly, like for the rest of the season, I mean, we talked about this with Scoot too, but like, I just want those guys to like play like they're the guys, like shoot 26 shots in a game, go for it. Like, I mean, unless you're shooting Anthony Simons type numbers, like keep letting it fly, right?
Yeah, I will say I feel like it's a little harder for him to come off the bench and do that, and I feel like that's the case for a lot of players, where it's hard to come off the bench and fully assert yourself offensively.
He did start the second half.
He had 18 in the first half, right? So he was able to do it in the first half. But then he starts the second half and keeps it going, right? It would have been interesting to see if he didn't start the second half, if he would have kept it going, or if he would have kind of cooled off and then played less minutes because of it. And that goes back to the whole conversation about Shane Sharp not playing enough minutes. Shane Sharp coming off the bench for some reason, right? So ultimately, I don't think anything changes. Maybe he starts because Avdia misses some time here with this injury that he suffered tonight, but I don't really know what the plan is for the rest of the year. It's just kind of a weird time of year where normally we're gearing up to tank and gearing up for guys like Sharp to start and play 35 minutes, guys like Scoot to play 35 minutes, but they've won 3 in a row. They're close enough to the play-in where they're going to convince themselves that they have a shot. And then basically the next question is, how many of these really tough games coming up do they lose? And what goes hand in hand with that is, do they pull the shoot on some guys and you end up seeing Sharp start and get 35, 37 minutes. And then you see a 2-week stretch where maybe he averages 30, because I think he might be capable of that at the end of a tanking season, right? And he's definitely better than he was his rookie year, where he took over some games his rookie year at the end of that season when the Blazers started tanking. So I think that's what I'm curious about, is like, when does Sharp start this season? Do they have to pull the shoot? Is there a way he can play his way back into the starting lineup? Is a game like this, if Avdia misses time, does that mean Sharp's going to start, or are they going to go back to Scoot? You would assume Sharp, considering they started him in the second half, but, this team does weird rotational things, so I'm not going to assume anything. We'll just have to wait and see, but we lamented how he played 18 minutes last game, and then he comes out tonight and just showcases his talent and his upside, and it's why he needs to play more minutes than 18 minutes in a game. So hopefully this is a start of him playing consistently 30 minutes a game at least. That's kind of the benchmark for me with him. Even if he's still coming off the bench, he should be playing that much. And then rest of the year, man, just try and string together performances like this and hopefully shoot the 3 ball better. That's the 2 things for him the rest of the year. Of course, you want to see him play better defense, but his upside is being an offensive star, right? So hit the 3 ball, consistently string together performances where you're getting downhill, getting to the paint, getting to the free throw line. It's just tough. It's tough to be consistent if his minutes are all over the place, and it's tough to be super assertive if he's coming off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of microwave scorers though that come off the bench.
See, but like he's not that type of microwave scorer though.
But I know, but if we're trying to get him to have that mindset to take over, like I don't.
Yeah, but like I don't want him to score like a microwave scorer, because microwave scorer to me is like somebody that comes in. Most of the time they're jump shooters. They come in, they shoot a bunch of jump shots. They'll shoot step backs, they'll shoot this, they'll shoot that, right? Normally they're not guys that their main strength is getting to the rim. They're like, they can get to the rim, but thinking of like Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford types, right? Off the bench. He's more get to the rim. Also, part of being as assertive is like playmaking for others. Most microwave scorers don't have that. So like some guys can have insane confidence and just shoot a bunch of shots, even tough shots, and make enough tough shots where they can be a microwave scorer as a 6-man. I don't really want to try and develop Sharp like that. I want him to start. I want him to have the ball in his hands, where if he doesn't have, decent shots, he's not forcing them. He's making plays for other guys, and he's letting the game come to him. When you're a microwave scorer off the bench, you can't really let the game come to you at all. You have to go in there and you have to go get your buckets, or else a lot of these guys, it's like they're not good defensively. They're not playmakers for others. So it's like, what purpose are they serving if they don't come into the game and immediately jack up shots? So, you want Sharp to be very aggressive. I just don't really like trying to develop him as a microwave scorer.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you can have that mindset off the bench, but it's not like we sub 5 guys in, 5 guys out. It's all blended. And I would make the argument that it's easier against second units to do that. And also, there's less opportunities for him to have the ball if he's playing with the starters. So I think you can make an argument either way.
I think at the end of the day, he should be starting.
That's a completely different argument. I'm just saying, like, I think you can be assertive whether you come up.
Of course you can be assertive. Of course you can be assertive, but like, it's different. It seems different for him coming into games off the bench sometimes. And he has this problem even when he starts, right? So it's not just a black or white issue. The problem is he has times where he disappears. He has times where he kind of floats out there. He has times where he's not super aggressive. Okay? How do you get him to be more consistently aggressive, but also not like too aggressive in terms of chucking up jump shots. Like he needs to get into the paint, he needs to get downhill, he needs to be aggressive in that way, right? And I don't have any data to back this up. I just think starting him consistently so that it's easier to play him more minutes, so that he gets, his 30 to 35 minutes a game, and just having him get a feel for a game and kind of like settle into the game at the start of a game is ultimately better for him to get to the point where he's aggressive. And we saw a stretch where he was starting earlier this year where he was scoring 20-point game, 20-point game, 20-point game, 20-point game. Off the bench, it's been much more hit or miss, it feels like. He still had some really good games, and it's not like he's, having like huge duds, but it does seem more inconsistent. And part of that is due to his minutes being inconsistent, but part of it just seems like he's flowing a little bit more. So for him, finding consistency, it's like I want to give him a starting role 30 to 35 minutes a game consistently every night, where if he's not playing consistent, it's very obvious, like, oh yeah, he's not playing consistent. His role's been the same. He's playing a lot of minutes. I just don't think off the bench, with the way substitution patterns change for bench guys and the way Chauncey does things, is ultimately the best for that. So I would like to give him that vote of confidence offensively. Like, all right, we want you to be assertive. We're going to start you because you're our guy. You're our, top one, top two offensive option. That's why you're starting. I feel like starting him sends that message more than having him off the bench. Even though, yes, you can be assertive off the bench. Yes, you can be aggressive off the bench. I just think ultimately it's better to start him, play him heavy minutes, and let him kind of settle into being assertive consistently in that role, where he doesn't have to feel like he has to come in and immediately force the action. Because I think when he kind of lets the game come to him, and he even said that in his post-game press conference, now it's a sharp quote, so who knows how much stock you can put into it, because he just kind of says stuff, I don't know, like his quotes just seem a little bit rehearsed almost, but he said he let the game come to him today, and look what happened. So
off the bench.
Not in the second half.
All right. But okay,
I mean, so what's your argument?
I completely
your argument
agree.
is that he should start, but it doesn't matter?
He needs the minutes. So that's number one. I completely agree he needs the minutes. With Shaden Sharp, though, it does not matter if he starts or comes off the bench. He's the exact same player. So like you have to it's a mentality change he needs. We all see it. Like he needs to be this level of aggressive more often.
And you don't think starting him can help make it easier for him to adopt that mentality?
I agree that getting the minutes as a starter helps him do that, but I don't see any difference in the way he plays starting or whatever. So like what I'm saying is,
yeah, he's not fully. Go ahead.
I don't think it matters for him. Like I don't think his issue is that he's not starting, is what I'm trying to say. I think it's just he needs to like somehow get that mindset of a
you're not even disagreeing with me. Yes, that's his issue, is he needs to have that mindset more often. I just think it's easier for him to develop that if he's starting and playing 30 to 35 minutes a game than coming off the bench and playing the minutes that up and down minutes that he's playing right now.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately we need him to be a starting shooting guard in the NBA and stuff like that. I don't. And it's just weird because, like, we all want Scoot and Sharp to be the starting backcourt, right? Like, we pretty much all agree we want that going forward. At the same time, I don't think outside of not playing the minutes. So, like, if he plays 33 minutes, like, tonight off the bench, I don't think that's the difference. Now, like, I know he started the second half or whatever.
But he only played 33 minutes because he was scoring well, so it's chicken or the egg, right. You know what I mean? That's the only reason.
But that's a coaching problem. Like, if we had a coach
this is all a coaching problem. This whole conversation is a coaching conversation.
Gave him a consistent – if he consistently got 32 – let's just say he played 32 minutes a game, I don't think it matters for his development whether that's as a starter or a bench player. The only reason it matters right now, in my opinion, is because coming off the bench is limiting what he can do, both in terms of – like, if he's not, like you said, not getting a chance to just play within the flow of the game, he's like, if he's not if he does something bad, he doesn't get the minutes. He plays like 18 to 23 minutes or whatever, and that's not going to help him develop that.
Yeah.
So if he was getting 32 minutes a game, whether he was starting or coming off the bench, I honestly do not think it matters if he started or was coming off the bench for now. Like, once he develops more of that mindset, then we can maybe like see whether he's better as a starter or off the bench. But like, I don't think it's crucial that he gets those 32 minutes as a starter, because if you play 32 minutes, you're playing against, multiple different players. You're playing with mostly starters in a lot of those minutes anyway. Like, I don't think it's really a huge factor in his development.
Ultimately, I think it's easier to feel like you're the guy if you're starting. I think that's the difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, also at the start of games, what I would do with him starting is you can script the first couple of half-court possessions, right? Like, you should have play calls for him that you can call in the flow of the game, but make it a point of emphasis to start games where we're going to run a curl screen for you first possession out. We want you to get downhill, get to the rim, start us hot, right? Second play, all right, we're going to have you coming off a pin down, all right? Make the right read, make the right play, all right? This is the looks you're going to get to start the game. We want you to set the tone. That's what I would do with him as a starter, right? Because you can plan that all before the game, of course, right? Like, we're going to script first couple of plays. They're going to be for you. They're going to be these actions. This is what we're going to do, all right? And it's also, I think, a good thing for somebody like him. Like, yeah, we're going to start the game running things through you. We want you to be super aggressive, right? All right. Like, that's how you get him going early, I think. Instead of him maybe, like, going into a game where he's a little timid or a little unaggressive, right? That's what I would do to develop that mindset with him starting. So.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I see that.
Anyway, chat, let us know what you think of this debate in the live chat. Also, hit a like on the stream. It's the easiest way to support the channel.
So Mar says, but it's a huge thing for Grant and Simons to start because they're established starters. But this is why we want to trade them. Like, this is why we wanted to get rid of them, so we didn't have this problem. Because, like, I don't know.
Why do you think it? Well, my question is, like, all right, if it shouldn't make a difference to Sharp, then why would it make a difference to Grant and Simons, right? And it's because, they feel like they're too good to come off the bench. It's a pride thing, right? But it's like, all right, shouldn't Sharp feel that way then too? Like, I don't know.
He's not an established starter in the NBA.
Only because we haven't let him establish himself as a starter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of that is self-imposed by not showing a certain level of effort on defense. But
I mean, his effort has been probably as good as Jeremy's this year. I mean,
no, I'm not,
that's the problem. Is like, yes, he has a flaw. Let himself develop it. Let himself establish himself as a starter. Let himself establish himself as a 20-point per game guy.
Yeah, but it should be because we don't have a Jeremy Grant problem anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I mean, the thing is like, he's played well enough this season where that's the way it should be.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
And you got Jeremy Grant on the team. Chauncey does not have to start Jeremy Grant.
Dude, Chris Murray looked better than Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, you do not have to. I don't think Chauncey has to start Jeremy Grant. He's going to sit there and be happy that he's being paid a boatload of money to do next to nothing.
But Chauncey is, and that's the problem. Like, I can't see Chauncey.
Well, yes,
Jeremy Grant.
The whole rotation thing is like Chauncey is Chaunceying, right? So none of it makes sense. Sharp had a better offensive game tonight than Grant had all season, but if it came down to starting one or the other next game, we all know who would start. That's an issue. So, yeah, I mean, it's not going to change. The whole point of this is, like, it's not going to change. It's just silly. Like, what we're doing right now is silly. Sharp played really good tonight. Scoot continues to shoot the ball fantastically, continues to play well. His bad games are, like, decent games now. Like last game, like tonight, right? Like he's been productive. neither one of them are starting or are being allowed to establish themselves as a starter. It's silly.
To be clear, too, I would love for Jeremy Grant to like get benched or come off the bench and start a different lineup, start Sharp instead. Like I'm fine with that. Like I want that, but like I don't see any way Billups does that.
It's not going to happen. Yeah.
He's still out there playing in clutch time. What was that drive? And he just casually throws it off the backboard, doesn't even come close to coming in there at the end, like in a key possession. It's so frustrating. And then Anthony takes like a 30-foot shot because no one moves for like 20 seconds.
Yeah, the offense was very stagnant, very ugly today. The bench lineup was much better than the starting lineup. Scoot 16 off. He was 5 for 13 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, so he's just 1 for 6 inside the arc. Not great there. But nice to see him go 4 for 7 from 3. Continue to shoot the 3-ball well. His 3-point percentage on the season might be above 37% now, which is nice to see from Scoot in year 2. Sharp, 36, of course. Chris Murray in 24 minutes, 12 points. Jabari Walker in 19 minutes, 12 points. Both of those guys were 5 for 9. The starting lineup, the only guy that was a positive was Anthony Simons, who's a +4. Jeremy Grant was 4 for 14, had 15 points. Kamara, 11 points. Avdia got hurt. Klingon had 4 points, right? He's in there for defensive reasons. But I think with the starting lineup, the offense was a little clunkier, actually, like just stagnant. And I think that kind of goes to Anthony at times getting a little dribble happy, trying to create, which I'm not really that hard on him for it because I kind of don't blame him necessarily with some of the lineups he's out there with, but also he does get dribble happy at times. Jeremy does Jeremy things, right? And then Tamani's 3-and-D, like he's had some nice finishes lately. He was 0 for 2 from 3 tonight, but 4 for 8 from the field and had a couple of assists, right? So did some good things offensively, but it just kind of, the ball finds its way into Grant's or Simon's hands, and then it's just a lot of dribbles, right? Whereas with that bench lineup, Chris Murray had a couple nice cuts in this game, like Sharp. He wasn't, I don't think he was like super dribble happy with a lot of his attacks. He was just very deliberate, like got downhill quick, got into things quick. So I like the way the bench lineup moved, and I think that's why they outplayed Washington. Whereas you look at Klingon was a -11, Kabara -7, right? Grant was, his plus-minus was a 0, right? The starters could not gain separation on this team today.
Yeah, part of that was I think in the first half, we shot like 36% from the field, but still had almost, like a large percentage of our field goals were assisted on. Like, I didn't think the ball movement or stuff was like that stagnant in the first half. We just I don't know, we could not hit any freaking shots.
Third quarter, it was ugly. That's when it most stood out to me.
Yeah, then the first few minutes of the third, or the first like 3 quarters.
Yeah, the first like 3-4 minutes of the third quarter got bad, and then the Blazers started making like every 3, because Scoot had 2, Ant made 1 there. Like they got going in the third quarter. They scored in the third quarter. If you look at the box score, they scored 39 points. I thought it was very clunky the first 3 to 4 minutes of that quarter. I thought the Blazers made some shots to bail it out. I didn't like how clunky their half-court offense got in the first 3 to 4 minutes. They had a couple bad turnovers. Anthony started off with a carry at the start of the half, right? I think there was just times in this game where they got a little stagnant. They were still able to score because this Washington defense isn't good, but I think the starters, I don't know. I think the bench lineup moved the ball really, really well. I think the starters didn't move the ball as well.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job in the first half. They just were sloppy.
Brian Tadovich says, hope we lose to the Sixers coming up. We'll talk about the schedule coming up. We'll talk about the tank race. We'll look at tank at the end. Other players on this team, who do you want to talk about, Eric?
Let's talk about Scoot.
Yeah, go ahead.
Scoot ended up Yeah, by the way, I don't think Scoot had an assist in the first half, so that's part of my thing for what we were talking about a second ago. But the
Guys got to make shots for an assist.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it was a starters versus bench thing for passing. I think it was just, I think they were moving fine. Um, but Scoot ended up, what did he shoot from three tonight?
4 for 7.
4 for 7, yeah. So he he started off with a couple air balls as well. Didn't shoot well inside the arc. Didn't really get to the free throw line. Still finished with 16 points. Yeah, only had the one assist. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. He was more used as like a spot up shooter in this game. It seemed like than which is good if he's shooting 4 for 7, I guess. But yeah,
I
I
don't
don't know
like
what.
that though.
No, I don't either. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah. Yeah. I
he had
mean,
one.
go ahead.
I think he missed it in the first half, but like he had a kick out 3 point shot. He went to shoot it, and then instead of shooting it, he just like tried to pass it the last second and threw it out of bounds. I was like, why didn't you just shoot that?
I don't know. I don't think he's like used to shooting 10 threes in a game, man, and being used as a spot up shooter, because there's moments where he looks really good shooting that spot up three ball. That catch and shoot looks really nice right now. He's eight. The funny thing right now is like he's maybe a little better off the ball than he is on, but I also think some of his struggles on the ball is like he's not on the ball as much. He's not on the ball as much. And the spacing is just kind of crap. Like, you're playing out there with Chris Murray, Jabari Walker. Donovan Klingon's not a... He can make a three, but he's not floor spacer yet. Sharp shooting 31% from three this season. Like, you don't have a ton of shooting on this team. The players shot 32% in this game. So I think, like, Scoot, there's just a couple drives where if he tries to get all the way to the rim, he's trying to score through three people. He had a tough lane that he missed that he could have gotten a foul call on in the second half of this game, and I don't mind him trying to go up with that. I just think, like, you got to get more shooting on this team next year. You got to get more shooting next to Scoot. I talked about last game with one of the turnovers he had trying to dish to Jabari Walker, where Jabari Walker should have been in the corner, and he's cutting behind his man that's helping onto Scoot. So there's two people on Scoot, but there's nobody open, and Scoot gets caught jump passing, and it's like, oh, man, like, he needs more on-ball reps and more spacing around him, and then that's when I think you could see that pop a little bit more. The shooting has popped. The three-point shooting has popped, and he's not shooting as much inside the arc. That's why his efficiency is better. He's also finishing better, too. I got to give him credit there. His left hand's a lot better this year than it was last year. Like, his left hand finishing, there's just a lot of times where he goes up with his left, where last year he would have been trying to force something with his right. So that's really good. You can tell he's putting work there. It's just weird that he is primarily off the ball, it feels like, right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough though, because like if Sharp is becoming more of an on the ball player, I guess if Denny's out, it helps to use it a little bit. But yeah, got to figure out a way to balance, especially with Simon still on the roster. Yeah, you got to find a way to balance those three guards with how they're used. But I definitely agree. Scoot needs to be setting up the offense and running the show a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's why it goes back to the conversations we've had all year. It's why you eventually have to move on from Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant. And listen, like, Anthony has played a lot better since the start of the year. This isn't even necessarily about how good or bad Anthony Simons is. It's just about, all right, if you want to put your eggs in the Scoot and Sharp basket, which they absolutely should, right? They drafted Sharp 7th overall. He's the highest upside player on this team. You got Scoot 3rd overall, right? And he started to break out. You want those guys to have enough touches and be able to play with the ball in their hand enough, right? And those guys can play next to each other and have the ball in their hand enough. But then also you got Denny, right? He deserves to have the ball in his hands a lot, and I want to see him shoot a higher volume of shots. It's just when you have Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant taking up the touches that they take up, and a lot of them, they'll shoot some catch and shoot shots, but, Ant's kind of ball dominant. I think on a better team, he'd maybe be a little less ball dominant. But on this team, he has the ball in his hands a ton, where he's the on-ball guy. And if he plays next to Scoot, it feels like Scoot's more off-ball than Ant is. And for this team, I think it should be the other way around, at least just to develop Scoot and give him enough on-ball reps, right? But that's the problem, is having a guy like Anthony Simons, having a guy like Jeremy Grant gets in the way of that. And that's why you got to move them along, give some of their touches to Scoot and Sharp, and let those guys play with the ball enough where you can have lineups with Denny, Sharp, and Scoot. But those should be the three main guys that are playing with the ball in their hands. It shouldn't be, oh yeah, you also got Jeremy Grant and Anthony Simons out there, so it's like, wow, nobody gets the ball enough. You have too much ball dominance on the floor. So
I still wonder if you had a different coach, if you could use Anthony and Jeremy in a different way that helped.
Yeah, probably. But the question is would they want to play that way?
Like you said earlier, I don't think Grant cares how he plays.
Well, that's the problem, though, when the ball gets swung to him and he doesn't have a shot, he doesn't usually move it along. He just ISOs. So it's like, if you have a coach that's like, oh yeah, we're not going to run Jeremy Grant post-ups all the time, we're not going to ISO Jeremy, still in the flow of a half-court offense, he will find a way to.
Yeah, but we literally heard Chauncey last year say that he was telling Jeremy to do that.
Yeah,
so like that's what I'm saying. Like a different coach maybe is telling him something different.
Yeah,
and Jeremy doesn't develop that.
But I think Chauncey's done a better job of not force feeding Grant this year. But also,
for sure,
Grant kind of forced his hand by playing like crap.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's just like Grant. He's past 30, right? He's probably stuck in his ways. If he catches the ball on the wing and doesn't have a three-point shot because he gets closed out on, then it's, I'm Jeremy Grant. I'm going to isolate. I'm going to in and out between the legs, or I'm going to, after I catch the ball, before I dribble, I'm going to go between the legs without dribbling. Jeremy Grant loves to do that. And try and attack. And even if I can't turn the corner, I'm just going to throw something up at the backboard like I got fouled. But then I'm not even going to act like I got fouled. I'm not even going to complain to the ref. I'm just going to chuck something at the backboard and then jog back on defense. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you can coach that out of him. That's just kind of the way he plays. I think maybe on a better team where he was more invested in winning basketball games, that would be what would cultivate change with him. But on this team where they're bad, I just don't think he's going to change.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I should have moved him with the deadline.
Yeah, and also he's a negative contract now.
Yeah.
I logically, I cannot sit here and act like he's not a negative contract. If we were fans of a different team, we would be looking at that contract and looking at the way he's playing this year and saying, no, we don't want that contract. Like, I couldn't imagine covering any other team in the league, Eric. I couldn't imagine having Kings Uprise or Cavs Uprise or whatever Uprise we would have covering a different team. I couldn't imagine going on a post-game show talking about trades and then looking at Jeremy Grant the way he's playing and like, yeah, you know what? I want that contract on our team. I want that guy on our team. That means he's a negative contract, right? So I'm done pretending like he's not. Writing's on the wall. The Blazers missed their window to trade him. And if they can get an expiring contract for him, it's a win at this point. And if they do, I'll be happy to say, oh man, he wasn't a negative contract. They got an expiring, Now, I do have a slimmer of hope that a team like Detroit would trade Tobias Harris for him. All right. So, that's probably the best case scenario at this point for moving on. The Blazers waited too long. They screwed up, and now they're stuck with the repercussions of that.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So, I'm not going to go any further in on that conversation. We've had enough. The Blazers royally screwed up the Jeremy Grant situation. If you don't know how we feel about that yet, then go watch our trade deadline stream near the end from back on February 6th. But, yeah. All right, you pick the next player, Eric. Who we talking about next?
Let's talk about Donovan Clingan. Thought this was one of his worst games in a while. Just committed some really silly fouls. Just didn't seem very engaged. Wasn't really a factor on defense like he normally was. Rashawn Holmes was having a field day. Did Rashawn Holmes even miss a shot in this game? I know he was like 7 for 7 on
I don't know. Also, how many of his buckets were on Klingon? I don't know. Because Kyle Filipowski went off and people were like, he
Yeah,
cooked
well,
Klingon and like only two of the
I'm
buckets Klingon was guarding him.
I'm not saying he was cooking
No,
Klingon. It just
he might
yeah,
have. I don't know. I was just
yeah.
wondering. Because
It's just
people will say that, and I'll go back and watch all their made buckets, and it's like, dude, he's not even guarding them.
yeah. I've been very pleased with the way Klingon has been playing. Even in that Utah game, I thought people underrated his impact in that one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this was a rough night from him. Just seemed like he was just a step slow and kind of made some boneheaded plays that he normally doesn't do.
So I have a question. Are there Blazer fans that are starting to turn on Klingon a little bit? Or am I talking to too many Aiton stands? Uh, chat. If you, so I have, I'm active on Twitter /X. No X. Twitter only. Change it back. Sell it to someone else, please. But I'm active on Twitter, and I had an Aiton fan tell me today that Klingon would never be as good as Aiton, and Aiton has more upside, which is just ludicrous to me. And I've been hearing a lot of fans like start to complain about Klingon, and it's like, is this the point of the season where even though he's like playing decently, it's just the shine has worn off, like he was new at the start of the season, so when he blocked a couple of shots, it was really fun, but now the shine has worn off, so now people are going to start nitpicking his game and worrying about all his deficiencies. Like, is that the point we're at, Eric?
I think what it is he's not a scorer, so like you're always going to have people who think that no matter he could average 19 rebounds a game and 6 blocks, and there's always going to be people like, well, he always scores 11 points a game, like, um, and then you watch like Aiton score like 20 something, and I don't know. There's a lot of fans that
We have a word for those fans.
casuals.
Yes.
Yeah, uh, but there's a lot of fans that points are ultimately the most thing, and it's frustrating to me because for years we talked about just needing that defensive stopper in the middle, and like it doesn't necessarily have to be a great offensive player. Like, so when you're comparing Aiton to Klingon, Aiton's not necessarily the type of center we need with scoring guards and all this kind of stuff. Like, we need a guy who can be that floor general and completely communicate from that back end under the basket, defend the rim, intimidate players from going in there. And Aiton is not that guy.
Yeah.
So like
His defense has been bad, man, and people just overlook it.
But that's the problem is like you can't read that in a box score, right?
Yep.
Other than block shots. So
Correct.
So like that's why like it just, for example, like I just mentioned, Klingon had like what 7 and 12 and 4 blocks or something last game, and then you see like someone post, oh, look how Filipowski cooked him, like look at his stats versus
Yeah.
his, and then it's like, but like Klingon, you make it seem like Klingon had a bad game, like,
Yeah.
and like you said, that all those points that Filipowski scored weren't necessarily on Klingon. So to me, it's like it's just the difference between like, I wouldn't say people who don't watch the game, but like
Even if you don't watch the game, you can go back and see every bucket Filipowski scored in like 2 minutes on NBA.com. Just takes a
like,
little bit of effort.
But like, it's just Klingon's, and I mean, you guys know that have been watching the show. I didn't have Klingon, I had him in my teens on my draft board. Like, I wasn't super high on him. Like, I was fine with the Blazers not moving up to get him and him falling to 7 and him taking them there. I ultimately thought that was probably the right decision. But like, he's not the kind of guy who's ever going to be like a 20-point per game scorer. And I think when you have a player like that is so defensive or focused, and he sets good screens. He had this one absolute beautiful pass to Sharp, a cutting Sharp. Aiton's not making that pass. So I do think he impacts the game and does things. Not tonight. I felt like his impact was very minimal tonight. But in a lot of games he plays, he does have an impact, whether he's scoring or not. But I feel like, Filipowski scoring 20 points but playing awful defense is more impressive to some people than Klingon shutting down the other team when he's in the game but only scoring 7 points. That's
it's just weird because everybody appreciates Tamani Kamara for his defense.
It's just.
But also it's like, oh look, he drew a charge is very obvious. Whereas somebody drives and maybe has a lane and turns away and backs the ball out because Klingon's roaming the paint. It's a lot harder to notice Klingon having an effect on that play. But you don't want to give up shots to the rim, and Klingon deters shots to the rim at a very high clip and forces a lot of misses, blocks a ton of shots. I just don't understand why people are so worried about what he does offensively right now, because also he's a rookie. He is a rookie. He's a rookie. I think most fans are handling the Klingon thing well, are on top of it, on point, whatever. There's just those casuals that we talk about, Eric, and then also people that start to get a little impatient with maybe his offense or hoping he scores more points or yada yada yada. He's a rookie. He should be much better next year. I expect him to be better than Ayton next year. I think at times this year he has been better than Ayton if you take everything into account in terms of winning basketball games, right? But then, Ayton goes on a hot streak and Klingon barely plays, and it's look how amazing Ayton is. Klingon, I think, will be more impactful next year in terms of winning games, more consistent. I think he'll be noticeably better next year because guess what? He's a rookie right now. He'll be a second-year player next year. Look at how much Scoot has improved. Imagine if Klingon improves that much with the defensive impact he's already having. He's already, statistically and analytically, a top 5 rim protector in the league, right? And he's made 30% of his threes. I'd have taken that coming into the year, making 30% of his threes, making 8 threes or whatever he's made on the year. So he's having a fine rookie season. He's going to have his lumps. Tonight was one of those. Completely fine.
Yeah, you asked what the difference is between him and Tamani. See, the fans didn't know who Tamani was. They had no clue, or most fans, 50-second pick. So when he plays, if him and Klingon had the exact same stat line, people would be like, wow, look at Tamani exceeding expectations. And then with Klingon, it's wow, this is the 7th pick and all he does, that's, so I think that's part of it. But we see this there's many people commenting in chat about his conditioning and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's weird because there's been games where he's played, 25 minutes and he always looks like he's fine playing that many minutes, but he's just one of those guys. It's we went through this with Nurk a little bit where people confuse that with not giving effort, or I still think he's playing hard out there and he's battling through it. It's not like he can't be on the court for 25 minutes. It seems like he's fine if he plays those minutes. He just always looks like he's out of condition or something. So yeah, he's gonna have bad games. I'm not saying that. Tonight was obviously a bad game, but I don't think conditioning has been a problem outside of maybe at the very beginning of the season, and then at there was a few weeks after he came back from injury where he was not moving well and stuff like that. But I don't know how much of that was conditioning versus the knee issue or whatever. But I don't know. I think conditioning is an easy way to say or excuse what's happening on the court or whatever if you don't understand it. But I don't think that's necessarily been a huge issue because he's still been able to play minutes when they've given it to him.
Yeah, he's still able to get to his help side responsibilities and finish plays and stuff, even if he's tired. All basketball players are going to get tired. He wears it very visibly for whatever reason, right? But it's just fascinating to me because people will legitimately try and tell me he is incapable of playing 30 minutes. And it's like he's had games where he's played 30 minutes this year and been good throughout the game. Like, how is he incapable then of playing 30 minutes? Now, if he's playing 30 minutes every night, is there a oh God, why can't I say this word? Cumulative? I can't speak right now. I can't say that word, but Eric, please say that word for me.
Accumulative?
Accumulative, yeah, because it accumulates. Yeah, I was forgetting the A. I'm tripping. Is there an accumulative effect of him playing 30 minutes every night on his performance? I don't know. Maybe. He's never gotten the opportunity to show whether or not it would have that sort of effect or not. There's been a lot of games where he's played 25 to 30 minutes, and funny enough, those are some of his most effective games where he doesn't really drop off throughout a game. So, yeah, like, he needs to get his conditioning better, but I think it's an overstated problem. I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah, and he had some silly fouls tonight, like Wes says in chat. Like, I think that was more the issue.
He has to stop trying to poke at the ball with guards. He'll learn that, though.
He had this horrible foul where he was in the backcourt. There was no reason to do this. He, like, dove for the ball. Like, I forgot what Wizard had it, but, like, he had complete possession. There was no chance of him getting it, and he still committed a silly foul in the backcourt.
At least he's trying to hustle.
Yeah.
Like, it's silly, but at least the heart is there. You know?
Yeah.
I'd rather have that than somebody do a stupid lazy foul. You know, like a take foul in transition for no reason just because they don't want to run back.
I do want to make this clear, though. I do think he needs better conditioning and would vastly improve his game moving it. That's like one of the biggest things he can do is work on his body and get into better
his
shape.
Strength, his body, his base. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I'm not saying that's not an issue. I'm just saying, like, I don't see, like, he like has a bad game or whatever. Like, I don't think it's necessarily because of his conditioning, you know. Like, I feel like he's still doing a lot of the right things on the court, and his conditioning isn't hindering that, but it could hinder how good he could be or, like, what level of player he is moving forward. But, like, it's not the reason why he's not getting minutes. Most of that's because he's been playing with Ayton, you know, and Robert Williams and stuff, and there's just not enough minutes to go around, which is also, like we talked about with Jeremy and Anthony and stuff, a reason why, like, we wanted to trade one of those centers so there's not a problem. Now, luckily for Klingon, Robert Williams is never available outside of a handful of games, so, like, it's not really an issue, and now Ayton's out for a while. So he should be getting plenty of minutes and conditioning on the court over the next couple weeks still. Hopefully he doesn't have games like tonight where he kind of takes himself out of it.
Yeah, that's the problem, is too often his minutes are limited right now because of the fouls. So he has to clean those up. And listen, like, guards at the NBA, they're quicker, man. So a play that he could have maybe reached and poked the ball out in college, now he's fouling in the NBA. This is why somebody like him needs NBA reps and needs minutes to develop. Because the more he makes this mistake, the more he'll learn from this mistake. Like, oh man, I reached in again and fouled again. Just like the last time the guy drove across this way, I fouled too with the same foul. Like, all right, I can't reach in when a guy's driving across the lane like this, right? You learn through your failures. You learn through repetition. The NBA level is different than college, and that's the thing, is he made so many defensive plays in college, some of which he can't get away with in the NBA because obviously it's just a higher level. The only way he learns how to adjust to that higher level is by playing. So that's why it's frustrating games where Ayton plays 35 minutes and he plays 13 because he's not getting those valuable in-game reps. Also, I do think it's good for him to learn how to still try and be effective when he has foul trouble and is still on the floor, right? Because ultimately you have to defend a little bit differently. So Yeah, it sucks if he gets into foul trouble, but that also gives him the opportunity to learn how to play through it. That's the thing, is a lot of these mistakes people get frustrated with, but they're learning experiences, they're growing experiences. You can take these struggles and you can use them to improve if your head's in the right spot and if you're being coached correctly. I think Klingen's head's in the right spot. I think he'll learn off these types of plays no matter how he's coached. And it's why it's like, all right, cool, you made a mistake. When he makes a bad foul, it's like, yeah, it sucks, but like, okay, cool, learn from that mistake. Learn from that mistake. You know, I'm not even upset when he makes mistakes. You kind of expect it, and you just hope he learns from it.
Yeah, at times I'm surprised with how little mistakes he makes. So I'm kind of surprised when he does make mistakes because I feel like he's got more of a veteran mindset, like, or IQ already. But you do have to remember that he is a rookie, and there's going to be players that, no matter how good you are coming into the league, especially on defense, there's going to be players that do things that you're just not used to, like a John Morant or something is going to make a shot over you, and you're going to foul him when you don't even know what happened because he was such a blur. That's part of learning, like you said.
Yep. Eric Olson says, plus there's some bias to athletic lockup defenders over rim deterring bigs. Yeah, Ayton looks more impressive when he decides to actually give effort defensively because he's covering more ground, and people are definitely biased towards that for sure. Absolutely. Everybody thought Ayton was going to be this great defensive upgrade over Nurkic because, he's a switchable big. He's a mobile big man. And he can block shots, and he can switch, so you can play different schemes with him, blah, blah, blah. He's not good at executing any single scheme, pick-and-roll scheme defensively. His pick-and-roll defense is bad. And then, when he gets switched out into guards or wings, a lot of times he doesn't go out far enough to stop them from shooting threes, wide-open threes. He doesn't get a hand up. His effort on the perimeter is terrible. So it's like, all right, the idea of Ayton defensively is not what the reality of Ayton defensively is. And then you look at somebody like Klingen, he's slow. Look at him. He looks tired. Right? But, man, he's deterring a bunch of shots statistically, analytically. He's one of the top 5 rim protectors in the league. He's had games where he's taken over defensively this year with his ability to block shots and deter shots. That's legit. So, yeah. Klingen struggled today, but I don't mind that. Let him struggle. Let him learn from it. That is a good thing.
Yeah.
So, and then, 18 minutes and he picked up 5 fouls. That's why. So Jabari's been good as a small ball center off the bench, for the most part. Who else do you want to talk about here?
Let's take a little break and get caught up on donations so we don't wait too long.
Yes.
If you don't mind.
Yes. No, I'd love to. Shout out to Tristan Klein, new channel member, starter level member. Thank you, Tristan. Shout out to Troy. What's that currency? Currency check on aisle 1.
Isn't that the pound?
I don't know anything except dollar signs, baby. £2 donation from Troy. Thank you, Troy. Appreciate you. Says, finally catch a show live, plus Sharp had a good game. Thumbs up emoji. Thank you, Troy. Good to see you in the live stream, man. Good to see you in the live stream. Thank you for the donation. Greatly appreciate it. Shout out to PDX Papermaker. $2 donation says, holy dunk Schaefer Prez. Do you think Quentin Grimes' dunk was better? Because I don't, and yes, I'm biased, but I don't understand how Quentin Grimes' dunk was better.
Yeah, they have some rating system, and it was by far the
broken rating system.
I mean, I don't. Short of the Vince Carter jumping over Frederick Weiss or whatever, I don't really know how you get a cooler dunk. I mean, that might
more
be
body-to-body contact, I guess, is the only thing, because it kind of slipped by him, so it wasn't on his head in the same way, but still, it was on his head.
if it was on his head, like if he would have been directly in between him, there's no way he's getting to the rim though. So like,
unless you ever see like
foul.
you ever see guys try and dunk on someone and they'll jump, the defender will jump second and like kind of jump up into the guy and it'll boost him higher.
Right. But Sharp almost. It's so weird. Like Sharp has like a second jump within his jump. Like it looks like he's starting to come down, and then all of a sudden he goes higher. Like almost like that phenomenon you're describing. But like it wasn't because of that. Like it's so weird. But I just looking at it, like I don't think there's any way he's getting to the rim at that angle if the guy was in front of him. So I don't know, man. It was crazy, dude. Like.
He leaned so hard to get to the rim to throw that in that he like fell. That's why he fell, because he leaned so hard to be able to reach the rim, and he still dunked it hard. Like, that was the dunk of the year so far. I thought Anthony Edwards had a really good one though that might rival it because his are so powerful and like on people too. So
yeah, we've been waiting for this, right? Because Sharp's had so many, like, I mean, he's had some awesome dunks. Don't get me wrong, but the like crazy dunks, like he's had so many that were like, oh, he just lost the ball, or he just threw it off the back rim, or he just couldn't quite get there at that angle, or something. Like, it's just been like building towards like one of these times he's gonna connect on one of these dunks. And it's gonna be freaking awesome, and he finally did it tonight.
Finally, about crazy. Time. We need more of these highlights, man. Mm-hmm. Need more of them. Josh Sargent, $10 donation. Thank you, Josh. Says, totally unwarranted, but I'm taking partial credit for that dunk. I tagged Sharp in the crazy John Morant dunk saying, you can do it better, and he liked it. Well, shout out to Josh for making that happen, man.
What's up, Josh?
Shout out to Josh for inspiring Sharp. Love it. Thank you for the donation. That's funny. Yeah, we need Shea and John Morant in the dunk contest next year, man. I feel like Ja could do all the Mac McClung stuff.
Did you see the dunk Sharp had in warm-ups?
No.
He did this like between the legs and like he cupped the ball like this and just dunked it. Like I don't know how to describe it, but like
where'd you see it?
The Blazers posted it before the game.
On Twitter?
On Twitter, yeah. So yeah, there's probably a bunch of posts from the game, so you have to go back a little bit. But it was like, reverse East Bay, like doing a 360. Like, I don't even know how to describe it, but like, it just looked easy. Like, it looked like he wasn't even trying to do a cool dunk, and he just kind of did it. And I was like, oh my goodness, dude! Like, I want to see this guy do some like dunk contest type dunks.
All right, let me see if this is the one. Oh, yeah.
It's like he's not even trying. He posts that link in chat or something, so people.
Yeah, sure. I'll post it in chat. Yeah, I mean, he kind of like flicked it in. he flicked that in weird, man. But he didn't even get up that high. Like, he can get a lot higher than that. So, yeah, it doesn't even seem like he's trying because he can definitely get up higher. Mm-hmm. Also, like, dunk contests give you a little extra bit of adrenaline.
Yeah.
I'm speaking from experience. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm not, but let's just say I'm kidding, okay?
Some people don't. Always make it about you, Tori.
I know. I'm kidding. Not really, but yes, I'm kidding, all right? Don't ask where I got my Twitter profile picture from, okay? Also, my Twitter profile picture is to troll all the people that seethe every time I talk about how I've touched a basketball before, so... yeah. But, who else? Anyone else, or do you just want to tankathon it up and end the stream?
I did want to mention Tamani. I thought had one of his worst games in a while. He was getting cooked towards the end of the game. Like Corey Kispert was like, got him on a backdoor. And,
that's Gonzaga legend Corey Kispert to you.
Yeah. I mean, he still did some Tamani things, but just got a little foul happy in this game. Um, Missed both of his threes. It was okay game from him, but like I thought he was a little. It's weird because when you're guarding Corey Kispert, when you're used to guarding like SGA and like the other team's best ball handler, you can fall asleep maybe sometimes. Like like it's just like a different. I don't know, like the way Tamani plays defense is like kind of wasted guarding a shooter or whatever. So I kind of get it, but like I don't know. I didn't think he had the greatest defensive game tonight.
Yeah, don't disrespect Gonzaga legend Corey Kispert. Chat had to remove a comment.
Wow.
Had to remove a comment from Henry. It was unacceptable.
No free speech in chat for Henry.
No, not slander against Gonzaga legends. All right, I won't stand for it. I will not stand for it. Back when we used to have NBA players. Although I found our next NBA player in like 3 years. Diani, or however you say his name. The guy from Senegal. The game Gonzaga played last night, Santa Clara was 8 for 8 from 3. And it was driving me insane. And then they missed like their next 13 threes. It was wild. It was wild. My college roommate is a huge Zags guy, so I got a lot of Zags chirping in. Hey, your college roommate sounds like a boss, man. Alrighty. Jeremy, 4 for 14, 1 for 7 from 3. Anthony, 5 for 13, 3 for 7 from 3. So those guys combined to go 9 for 27.
Yeah.
At least Sharp shot is almost as many shots as those guys did combined, I guess. But, 9 for 27, not efficient. Grant got to the line 7 times at least, so kind of saved his night. But, Eric, he is so inefficient. He is not good anymore.
Hey, 6 rebounds. Good job, Jeremy. Yay.
Yay. He's so inefficient now. I was arguing with somebody on Twitter, and this dude was saying, like, trade values don't fluctuate that quickly. Like, bro, okay, so you're telling me NBA GMs are looking at the way this dude has played this year and just be like, yeah, that doesn't matter at all. He's almost 31 and looks like he's lost a step and also is just playing much, much worse. And also, like, doesn't do little things well. But nah, that doesn't matter. We're still going to trade for his massive contract because this year doesn't matter. We're going to trade for the guy he was last year, even though he's not that guy anymore. I don't get it.
My issue is, okay, at the time he was like 4 for 13 before he took that bad shot at the end. Why is he in the game? Like, and I'm thinking, like, okay, Klingon sucked tonight. Tamani fouls out. Denny was out in street clothes by the end of this game. So, like, maybe it's just he didn't feel like he had a choice. But, like, Chris Murray was playing well. I don't know. Like, this is kind of what I was referring to earlier. It just feels like Chauncey's going to play him because he feels like he can depend on him, even though he hasn't backed that up this season at all. Like, you could make that argument. Like, despite us wanting to trade him last year, he still produced at least like a decently, like, not great, but like enough to warrant him playing at the end of games. But I don't see why this year he's still getting that benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. He has some dirt on Chauncey or something.
And there was a point in this game I was seriously like, we need to play Chris Murray over this guy. like Chris, he didn't have the greatest first half, but the second half he was really good. And yeah.
Wes Davidson.
I thought he.
Sorry, you lagged for a second. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Good to hear it. Wes Davidson says Grant totally deserves to start over Sharp. LOL. And then Mike Jones says, Wes Davidson, let me know who's your plug. He's being sarcastic, Mike. He's being sarcastic. But yeah, let him know who your plug is, Wes. That's funny. What were we even talking about? I don't even know. Jeremy, he sucks. Like, he's just. I feel like I was one of the first people that was like legitimately starting to worry about him not getting traded at the deadline because his contract was too bad. And there's another negative thing that Tori was right about that he wishes he was wrong about.
I mean, a lot of people thought you're not alone.
I mean, you remember you were still hopeful.
Blazer fans.
You were still hopeful, and I was like, dude, I'm losing all hope.
No, there's a huge difference. I think he could have been traded. I just don't think the Blazers wanted to trade him for the things that were available. And I think that ultimately that's going to prove to be a mistake.
I don't even think anything was available at the deadline. I think nobody wanted to trade anything for him. I think he went from you could have gotten a first-round pick in Rui this past offseason to you couldn't get anything. And Cronin turned down the first-round pick, which is idiotic. Idiotic. He also gave Grant this freaking contract. And the new narrative, Eric, we haven't talked about this on Twitter. The new narrative is to blame Dame. Oh, Dame forced Joe to give him that contract. So it's like, okay, the first excuse was he's cleaning up Olshay's mess. It's not anything Cronin does with the roster is not his fault because it's all Olshay's mess. Oh, he gave away Norman Powell for nothing? Oh, well, it was Olshay's mess. It's not Joe's fault he traded him away for nothing. Okay, you're just stripping him of responsibility. That excuse can only last so long. So then when it comes to the Jeremy Grant failure of a contract, it's like Dame forced him. Dame forced him to give him that contract. It's not Joe's fault that he gave him that contract. It's Dame's fault, even though Joe made all these moves to lead to Dame asking out. Like, all right, yeah, just keep taking away the responsibility from Joe and putting it on other people. Blame everybody else except Joe, right? But then it's like, when it comes to, all right, fine. Let's say it was Dame's fault. Joe gave him that fat contract. All right, if Joe didn't really want to give him that contract and didn't want him on that contract, shouldn't he have traded him for a freaking first-round pick when he could then? No, he could wait. Okay, so you don't think it's a bad contract, so why are you blaming Dame then? Because if you think they should have passed on a first-round pick, you don't think it was that bad of a contract. So what are you sitting here blaming Dame for? You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. That literally contradicts itself. So, yeah.
And Gregory asks this every time we talk about this subject. So we shouldn't have signed him.
You've answered this question 10 times.
Yes.
How does Gregory not know the answer yet?
Yeah.
Gregory, try and guess what our legitimate answer is. Just try. Just try to answer your own question with what we've said. Multiple times. We've answered your question multiple times, bro. So guess what we would say. Just try. Just try. And we'll circle back. You must have missed our answer like 5 times, dude, I swear. Because Eric's answered this multiple times. No, you sign him to a contract and then you trade him when you can get something for him, which they could have. They should have traded him last offseason and gotten a first-round pick. At this point, with his contract being a negative contract, I would have rather let him walk, but the best move was you re-sign him and then you trade him for value, which they could have last offseason and decided not to.
Also, 5 years, 160, that's not...
Did you really have to give him 5 years? You couldn't give him 4?
Would that have pissed Dame off if you gave him 3, 120 or something?
When Dame was already like a foot out the door because you didn't do anything to improve the roster, yeah, but you had to give him 5 years for Dame. Doesn't make sense, man.
Yeah, and I mean, this is just ignoring the fact that they wanted Dame to ask out. They were pushing him out because they didn't want to do anything. They actually thought. Do you guys remember that media day after they traded Dame? where they all got up there and talked about how they were going to be freer without Dame and that the ball was going to move and they're not going to have issues in clutch time because anyone can make a shot now. We don't have to rely on one person and we're just going to have this awesome free-flowing fast break offense and all that stuff. They thought they were gonna like surprise people and be good last year, and then they were absolute crap. Won 21 games. Like, that's not Dame's fault that they thought that.
Yeah, it is so silly. Anyway,
also,
I just feel like Jeremy Grant is gonna end up being a plague on this roster and on this payroll for the foreseeable future, and the foreseeable future probably means multiple years.
you also matched Matisse after Dame had asked out, so like,
Yeah, for what?
What's your excuse there?
Yeah, what do you match him for?
Yeah,
unless his contract's going to be on the books for no reason this offseason. Like,
yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, I said this at the time when they tried to bench him at a game in New Orleans during that season, and Dame got pissed because they promised him that they were not going to do that crap again that year, that they would let him play out the season and go for the play-in or the playoffs. And Dame got pissed, and they convinced him that this would help them build a winner around him, and they were all in on him building a winner that offseason, including promising that they would trade the pick that he would sit out the tank for unless it was Wemby. It's all backed up months later by Chris Haynes and Shams and Woj all said this, that was the case months after I said it. And Dame said month before the draft, if you keep the picks, I'm gone. I'm not going to play with a bunch of young players. And Cronin decided to keep the picks and not honor his word with Dame. There's no way he thought that he could salvage that and was like, oh, well, if we give Dame or Grant this contract, it'll save the relationship with Dame. Like, Grant was already on the team. Why would that matter to Dame whether he re-signed someone that was already on the team that he was promised to get better? Like, this was all on Joe Cronin, and anyone who doesn't understand that just does not want to believe that and just wants to give Joe Cronin a free pass.
Yep, so any other players you want to talk about?
No, let's do Tankathon.
All right, we'll do Tankathon. And then we'll get out of here. So the Blazers next game, Friday, after they take on the Nets. Another 4-game winning streak, third one of the year. Oh, God. I just looked at... Oh, God. Oh, I don't even want to do Tankathon, Eric.
We're at 10th now. Yep.
What's the point? We're sandwiched in between two San Antonio picks.
Sacramento did win, by the way, so...
Yeah, he's still 4.5 games behind. What are we chasing this freaking 10 seed for like it's a championship just so we can lose in the play-in? Like, or get swept in the first round. This is disgusting. 10th is disgusting, bro. And we're going to win again, and we're going to be 5.5 away from Brooklyn. The tank is dead. The tank is officially dead. Like, we are officially... I'm sad. I'm sad.
Sorry, Tori.
This rebuild is really going to get us stuck back in the middle again.
The Spurs are losing now.
This rebuild is really going to get us stuck back in the middle again, where we're not good enough to contend, huh?
Wait, are we gonna be in 11th at the Spurs?
The Hawks we're a game away. We're a game and a half away from being 12th.
Because the Spurs game isn't final yet. They're down by 20 to the Rockets. So.
Oh, well, yeah, they'll be a game ahead of us, and then Atlanta's the team below us.
They'll be a full game, yeah.
We'll be 1 game away from 11th, 1.5 away from 12th, which is Houston's pick via Phoenix. My biggest fear of this rebuild, my biggest fear is like after hearing people cry about how we're stuck in the middle, we'll never be good enough to contend with Dame. We should just trade Dame. We should just blow it up. I'm tired of losing in the first round. I'm tired of not contending. After hearing people cry about that for a freaking decade, Eric, going into this rebuild, it was like, all right, fine. Let's make sure we will rebuild right so we're not back in that same position. And now everybody's like, ooh, 10th seed. So, I'm sad. All right, let's simulate it. Let's scroll up. Maybe we'll get lucky and I can feel a little better. Maybe we'll move up from 10th. 14 is Dallas. Whoa. 13 is Atlanta via Sacramento. 12 is Houston via Phoenix. 11 is San Antonio via Atlanta. 10 is your Portland freaking Trailblazers. Get ready to get your Knipple jersey. 9 is San Antonio. 8 is Chicago. 7 is Brooklyn. 6 is Philadelphia. 5 is Utah moving down 3 spots. Boring sim. 4 is Washington moving down 3 spots. 3 is Charlotte. 2 is Toronto moving up 3 spots. And the number 1 pick goes to New Orleans Pelicans. Yay, we get Zion this offseason. Because they get Cooper Flagg to be their power forward. We get Zion this offseason. There we go. Is it bad that I'm like, if Zion doesn't have much trade value and we don't move up in the draft, like I'm okay with trading this pick for Zion?
I mean, it's okay that you are, yeah.
At this point, it's like, what do we need? We need star upside. Like, it's going to be almost impossible to find it here. You might as well just take a risk on Zion, even though it probably won't work out. Because you need some star upside, right? So, like, this sim, I'm like, all right, fine. 10th pick, Grant's awful contract, throw in another asset. Are you close to a deal? Like, are we in the ballpark at that point? I don't know how low his trade value is going to be, but yeah.
Yeah. Did anyone in chat have a chance to watch Bennett Sturts last Sunday?
No. You really like that Zion idea, huh? Not even. I just am open to it. Also, I feel like that's the type of guy Cronin might go after. But the shooting is going to be even worse.
That might...
I just feel like it would not work out, but at least you'd be taking a swing on a star.
Yeah.
That would fit the young core, too. So, I don't know. Like, where are you getting your star if you're drafting 10th otherwise? Like, you're not going to be able to trade for another star where you give up few assets, and it's too early to go push all your assets in. So if you can get one while still keeping your best 2029 first and the Milwaukee swap somehow, like, all right, fine. Like, but it's just ugly. It's just like, it's not ideal. The most ideal thing would be drafting in the top 4 this draft. And drafting a star, a future star. Or drafting in the top 3 next draft and drafting. Actually, top 4 next draft is loaded too. So, more loaded than this top 4. But, nah, we got to get that 10 seed. That's what it's all about, Eric. It's what it's all about. Anyway. G. Williker says, he said, I hopped into stream for that sentence. For what sentence? Get your Knipple jerseys ready? I almost said the slogan for Knipple, but I'm not going to say it because it makes me uncomfortable.
It's not even playoff merch if we don't make the playoff. Like, we still have to win 2 games on the road
against teams that are better than us.
So a lot of people think we're going to catch Dallas now instead of the Kings.
We gotta catch Phoenix first, which will be funny as hell if we catch Phoenix. How the hell are we gonna? How are we this close to Phoenix? They're all pissed because they're losing. We're all pissed because we're winning and are in the same spot. They don't have their pick. Yeah, we are 5 games behind Dallas, and we have an insane schedule coming up in March. Yeah, we're gonna catch them, bro. We might not win 5 games in March. Bro, I just got a weird Discord message.
Andrew says if we make the playoffs, we lose that pick to Chicago. So does that open up more future picks to trade? Maybe that's silver line. How does that help though? Like not getting any assets this summer, and then you can.
And then going all in on like Lauri Markkanen, and then we have no assets left, and then we're locked into a roster with Lauri Markkanen as our best player. I don't know. Doesn't sound good to me.
The only thing, if we suck for several years, or in 2028, and don't lose that swap thing, that's the only positive you can get from that.
Like, at least this game, Scoot shooting a terrific 3-ball, Sharp had 36. You beat a tanking team. Like, all right. It's just like, situationally, it's not ideal. And Grant's still on this team. Like, if you told me that Sharp was gonna like slightly progress, but like be brought off the bench and like roll screwed around with, Scoot was gonna progress, and we were gonna have the 10th best lottery odds, and not trade anybody at the trade deadline, I would have said, oh, that season's probably a failure because we're not in a better position going into the offseason than we were starting the year. Like. Mm-hmm. If you got rid of Grant, okay, fine, you can say that. If you traded Ant for something solid, all right, you can say that. But that's the thing. But it's all, what do you want Cronin to do? Like, all right, so he's just completely powerless. Going back to the conversation we had before, all right, so this dude is a GM, but he's basically just a fan because he can't do anything. Oh, but the second he does something right, that's when he had power. That's when he had the power to make a move. If a move goes well, if something goes well, good job, Joe. If something is bad, if something is off, well, nothing he could do. It's almost cultish. The crony cult.
You're just speaking into our echo chamber.
Yeah, I'm just shouting, screaming, soullessly into the echo chamber we built. I don't know. I'm hoping we stack some L's after the Brooklyn game. We will. We're playing Cleveland on the road. We're playing Boston on the road. We're playing OKC on the road. We're going to get destroyed. We're going to be like 6 or 7 back of a play-in, and it's going to be like, see? We aren't catching anybody. Like, why are we talking about this? That's literally what's going to happen. That's literally what's going to happen. I will sell it. Listen, if we beat one of those 3 teams on the road, I'll be like, wow, we played so well. I can't believe we did it. I will treat it like we won a playoff game, all right? They are building to sell. You can say you have a playoff team for sale, young players trade assets, and loss of expiring contracts in a few years trust. Well, that's the problem. They're not building to win. They're building to sell then, if that's the theory. Kenny D says, it's not really a cult. This is how Blazers fans are. They've been known to blindly follow leadership and management since the 90s. The only time the fans have turned was during the jail Blazers era. Well, they also turned on Olshey because he wasn't nice. But if Olshey had the temperament that Cronin did, I think Blazer fans would have defended him. So, yeah, no, I mean, a lot of Blazer fans are just always happy with the status quo, even if the status quo isn't good. And I want more out of this team. So.
This is wild, Tori. I'm starting to think you don't believe in this team. Yeah, Tori.
Yeah. How dare I? So negative. I don't think we're going to beat the Cavs on the road. I think we're just good enough to win games like this and then get blown out on the road against the best teams in the league. Yep.
I mean, we barely won this game.
Yeah, we barely beat Washington on the road. They didn't have Sarr. We barely beat Utah on the road. They didn't have 4 of their 5 best players. Like, this team is playing poorly. This team is not playing well. I know it's weird because we're so bad that we had to play good to beat anyone. But now we're just good enough where we can play poor and still win games like this. And that's literally what happened. That's literally what has happened. So, anyway, fun times. No, I mean, I enjoyed the stream. At the end of the day, it's just one game at a time, man. We'll see where the Blazers are at the end of the season. We'll see what their lottery odds are in a month and a half. And we'll just see how the March goes, right? I will say if the Blazers lose next game, that would be a really good loss for the tank because Brooklyn is 7th, and Portland, if they lost to Brooklyn, would be 3.5 games out of 7th. So that would still be possible. Brooklyn's won 6 out of their last 10 games. So has Portland, right? You're not getting higher than that. The Blazers are a whopping 8 games behind 5th best Toronto. Philadelphia, their season is over. Although it's not. They're only 2.5 out of a play-in, Eric. It is if Embiid's done for the season, but I don't even know. I don't understand what the East is right now.
Man, that Paul George signing might turn into to be one of the worst in NBA history. Jeez.
Yeah, it's funny because trading him was one of the worst trades in NBA history, and then signing him might be one of the worst sightings too. So, yeah. Anyway, the one contract that's worse than Jeremy's. There you go, Paul George.
Are we gonna Are we gonna make the conference finals before Embiid ever does this rebuild?
Well, I mean, basically,
the right
well, the question is, Embiid ever going to make the conference finals then?
Yeah.
Because the Blazers ain't making it anytime soon. But like, if Embiid never makes the conference finals, then yeah, I would hope so. Like, I hope the Blazers make a conference finals like one more time in the Blazers' existence. So I'm gonna say yes.
Imagine saying though that, like, well, okay, when we traded Dame, that in a year, the 76ers would get Paul George in free agency, so they didn't have to give anyone up to get him. Tyrese Maxey would be like an all-star level player. They would draft a guard who's also looking like he was rookie of the year, but then got hurt. And they still have Embiid. And then
we're frustrated about how we can't catch him in tank-a-thon.
Yeah, and not only that, but the Blazers are set up better to like contend in the future than they are. Like, it's so weird.
I don't know if I go that far. If Embiid gets healthy and like Paul George has one good year left in him, like they could get back there.
Like either of those things are happening.
Yeah, but I mean, is that a bigger what if than the Blazers taking this mess and turning it into a contender? You want to know what's the most? This is gonna sound insane, but I think I might actually believe this. What might be the most realistic path back to contention for the Blazers is, you know what I'm gonna say. I've said it before.
Zion.
No. It's like I don't think ownership would do this, right? And also, like, I just don't think it's gonna happen. But It's if the Bucks suck next year or the year after, and Giannis wants out, and Dame's still good, the rest of the roster sucks, and they want to hit the rebuild button, and we have their control of their future picks.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeremy Grant's contract to trade him with, Anthony still, and I don't know. Yeah. And you get back Giannis and Dame. That's about as realistic as any other path to contention at this point, I think. The reason why you get in the door there is because you have Milwaukee's future picks, and if they want to rebuild, they're going to want them back. So, it would just be nice to have more first-round picks. If that trade was on your doorstep, at the deadline next year, Eric, knowing nothing about how next season goes, would you take it? Just all the Blazers' future picks, including Milwaukee's, and, let's say we keep our key young players, but, would trade, Ayton's expiring, Grant, Simons.
Why would we keep our young players, though?
Because they want their future picks back.
I don't know. I mean...
Because nobody wants Dame because everybody has a scoring point guard and he's up there in age and he's a big contract, right?
Yeah, I would do it, but, I don't...
You probably get outbid by OKC for y'all.
I think they asked for Scoot or Sharp. I think you have to give up one of those two.
Would you give up one of those two? Would you give up Scoot? You'd have Dame, Sharp, Tamani, Denny, Giannis, Klingon.
Yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah, I'd probably do that too. As a Scoop fan, yeah. We are ODing on copium now. Let me dream, man. I should put that trade out on Twitter so that a bunch of Bucks fans get pissed off and all of them can cry in my comments and then I can get 100,000 impressions on a tweet.
Gregory's worst nightmare right there. And / whatever's name Kyle's going by these days.
Gregory isn't Kyle.
No, I'm saying Gregory and whoever.
Oh, whatever. Because Gregory hates Dame.
Yeah.
Damn. And the stream has gone too far. LMAO, don't tell me what to do.
Fine, we will.
No, you don't give in to people that tell you what to do. What does that make you? It's not what a man does. We don't take orders.
I like Slim, so he can.
Oh, he can boss you around.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Fine. I was just trying to be funny, Tori's thoughts. Okay, now that's too far. I was joking, but that's too far, all right? That is unacceptable comment. Unacceptable. Now I really will end the stream. Shout out to BetUS. We're going to be live again Friday night. That's a shot night. We're going to get a little tipsy. That's our early post-game time. That's, 6:30? No, 7. Because the game's at 4:30. Games are 2.5 hours. So, yeah. Sorry, my bad. Love you? No, you don't.
Was that 4 o'clock or 5?
4:30.
4:30. Yeah.
Game time. Oh God. One final troll comment to end the stream. I told you guys Sharp would get his minutes this game. You guys were crying about 18 minutes last game. He did not give effort last game. Sharp just needs that dog mentality. He has the whole package. I don't give a F. He should be playing more than 18 minutes, brother. Should be playing more than 18 minutes. How am I now at the head of the band? The Shaden Sharp should play 35 minutes bandwagon. How did I make my way up here? Because people were calling him a star earlier in the year, and I was like, let's just hold on a little bit longer before we were making that claim. Be like, you're a Sharp hater. All right, now I'm like, yeah, he should probably play more than 18 minutes. Oh, stop crying. All right, man. How'd that happen? That's crazy. I'm always stuck in the middle like the Blazers are, Eric. Aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm having fun. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your night and a good rest of your week. We'll catch you at the start of your week on a Friday night. And that should be fun.
I have a special place in my heart for Slim. Sorry, Tori.
Why do you... This is getting a little weird.
Yeah. He was the OG recognized me in public.
Oh, all right. He can tell us what to do that.
He's the one that he worked at a coffee shop in Astoria, and I was totally taken off guard because he knew my name or something. I was what the heck?
You get recognized a lot more than me. You're a lot more famous than I am.
My wife and I were at Margarita Factory the other night, and some guy yelled out from across the place, "Love you, Eric," as he walked out of the place. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's sick.
He didn't come over and talk to. He should have came over and said hi. I wish I would have motioned to come over, but yeah.
Should have came over and told you what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go relax. I got a massage earlier today, which was really nice. I needed one. Dude, I didn't realize how much tension I have because I sit at a computer all day. Oh, I've been sitting with bad posture this stream. God damn it. I need to move my mic close enough to my face that it makes me sit up. God damn it. What?
Jeez.
It's not. Yes, that's.
Kids watching.
It's not.
Just kidding.
All right. I said an expletive, apparently, so I got to end the stream in embarrassment. Shout out to BetUS. Appreciate that. And as always, check them out. Promo code YouTube150. You guys know the deal. We got one more game in February. And then March is on the horizon, which means probably a bunch of losses, but also March Madness, a bunch of prospect talk. That should be a lot of fun. More event nights. That's going to be cool. Looking forward to it. Also, I got a cut on my head. I don't know what that's from, but it's random. Anyway.
Harry Potter.
I'm Harry Potter. And Harry Potter is out of here. Have a good rest of your night. You
understood that reference. Nice.
Of course.
I'm just kidding.
Come on now.
I know you
Come on now. I was a big Harry Potter fan.
All right.
I stood outside Powell's bookstore downtown at midnight to get the drop of the 7th book.
Oh, nice.
Do you know what the 7th book is called?
Yes.
Uno reverse card. Let's go.
Yes, but I'm blanking on it right
Damn,
now.
you forgot what the 7th book is called? Wow. How are you getting... I'm not the pop culture guy that knows movies or books, but you're getting trumped by me.
You're just putting me on the spot.
Yeah, too much pressure. Perform under pressure.
The Deathly Hallows or something. I don't know. What is it?
Be confident. You're right. Yes.
Okay.
You just said that so unconfidently.
I couldn't remember if that was the last one or not. I was going through all the books
in
my head. Sorcerer's Stone.
I don't know why you said it so.
Prisoner of Azkaban. Whatever.
Prisoner of Azkaban is the 3rd one.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I was trying to go through them in order in my head, and I was blanking on the last one. But yeah,
I just need to watch a random movie and then pull a random reference from it, and then just give you crap for not getting it once a stream.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn the tables.
How do you know what random movies I haven't seen?
Well, maybe sometimes you'll get the reference, and then we can have a never-before-seen Blazers Uprise moment where we both get a movie reference together. And that would be, historic. I have do you remember the Titanic thing?
Yeah.
I have that clip saved. I need to drop it on like TikTok or something. That was funny. Anyway, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Looking forward to looking forward to Friday. Looking forward to seeing the Blazers win another game. They're going to win 4 straight. They're going to do it for the 3rd time this season. They're going to win 4 straight games after they beat the Nets on Friday. We'll have you covered with that post-game show. We'll have a live stream tomorrow. We'll do picks against the spread and all that good stuff. So join us on our second channel, link in the description. Discord link in the description. Shop at US. We're out of here. Have a good rest of your Wednesday night. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.